Ryan Smith was born in 1975 in San Diego, California, USA. From a young age, he was an adventurous adventurer, passionate about traveling and getting to know different cultures around the world. This passion to discover the diversity of people through customs, languages, and tradition prompted Ryan to immigrate from his country. At the age of 27, this young man sought to get acquainted with the life of the countries of Eurasia, especially those that belonged to the collapsed Soviet Union. So in 2022, Ryan went with his backpack and dreams in tow to remote Azerbaijan, one of the countries of the former Soviet Union. The country, surrounded by the Caspian Sea and the Caucasus Mountains, is located at what can be considered the crossroads of Eastern Europe and Western Asia. So for a young traveler, it was an ideal starting point for the world he intended to discover. Ryan settled in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan, where he studied the language and culture. On his web portal, he described how at that time he worked at a carpet market surrounded by a walled city, and this allowed him to get acquainted with one of the oldest and most valuable craft practices in the region. The methods of making carpets are passed down from generation to generation, and it can be said that this is a tradition that has almost disappeared over time. The young designer was impressed by the beauty of the products and thought about the business associated with the manufacture of handmade carpets. In December 2005, Ryan, mindful of his idea, returned to the United States to lay the foundations of the project. While on American soil, he met a young and attractive teacher, Laura Joy, with whom he got engaged, and then married her. Laura supported her husband's hobbies of travel and foreign culture, and in 2011, the couple visited the former Soviet Republic of Georgia, which borders Azerbaijan. In Georgia, in the city of Marneuli, young people got married, and both intended to establish the production of traditional carpets there. The couple had a son in 2014, whom their young parents named Caleb, and at the same time Ryan and Laura were promoting their long-awaited handmade carpet weaving project. The project, developed by an American, using traditional Azerbaijani methods. Everything made using this technology could be sold on the international market for more than $1,000. While Laura worked as an English teacher at a local public school, her husband toured the villages of the region in search of weavers willing to work with them. To his surprise, Ryan did not find many masters using traditional methods. Some of those who first joined the plan refused to cooperate for various reasons. Some did not agree with the prices that Ryan offered, while others were not familiar with the original designer and were not sure they could produce what the brand needed. Ryan said in his blog that he spent 4 days in Kosalari, and it was there that he found artisans interested in his project. Ryan's goal was not only to make a profit or to save the development of an ancient culture. He was also interested in becoming something of a public benefactor, attracting women in rural areas who know ancient weaving techniques to his project, giving them the opportunity to revive the craft that would allow them to support their families. Soon, Ryan and Laura Smith became one of the most respected, and the visiting American considered a city with a population of no more than 20,000 people to be the most expensive place for himself. His wife, Laura, became close to the city, with its residents engaged in teaching, made many friends, while Ryan, promoting the value of the ancient carpet weaving culture, earned respect. Most residents considered the Smith couple kind and honest people to whom they could turn for help. A couple of visiting Americans got so used to the local society, traditions, and culture that in 2012 they applied for citizenship and soon became citizens of the United States and Georgia. It was rumored that the couple planned to build a kindergarten with a playground on their own money. But it was at a time when the couple had already decided that they had finally found a home, realized that the future of their family was promising. A tragedy knocked on their doors, and all their plans collapsed in the most unexpected and nightmarish way. In July 2018, 43-year-old Ryan and 42-year-old Laura planned to take a couple of days off to enjoy a vacation next to little Caleb and get away from the routine. Sabina Talibuba, Laura's friend, said that Laura called her on Wednesday, July 4th, shared her plans to go to the mountains, and warned them that they would be gone for 2 days. The couple chose a small, picturesque place, hidden from the eyes, near the Gudori Mountains as their destination. This area is known for its trails, beautiful waterfalls, and stunning gorges, ideal for relaxing walks and picnics in nature. In this secluded corner, instead of being distracted and finding peace of mind, the Smith family experienced their worst nightmare. Ryan and Laura were looking for a local resident who would serve as their guide so that they could not get lost, and calmly, without fear, traveled in mountainous places. And the parents were also concerned about the safety of little Caleb. I would like the journey not to be exhausting and uncomfortable for the baby. So they met with a local shepherd, Malchus Kabauri, who, although he did not live in this area, but, despite the young age of 19, knew the neighborhood well, because he traveled around them daily and grazed herds of sheep and goats. Malchus was distinguished by a calm character. The locals considered him a good guy. Confident in the positive reviews about Malchus, who knew the area, the Smith family hired him as a guide. It had not been long since their departure to the mountains when the couple found out about Malchus's dark intentions and claims. As it became known later, the group went out on the mountain, and having reached the clearing, set up camp for dinner. They chose a place near one of the many springs in the area to have fresh water quenching their thirst in the summer heat. Obviously, at some point Ryan paid attention to his guide, because he felt that he was not careful enough with the gun, which he always carried with him. There was a heated discussion between the two men, and no one expected Malchus to point a gun at Ryan and shoot him in the head. Then he fired another shot at the man in the back. Laura's terrified screams and the baby's crying drowned out the echoes of gunfire, rumbling in the mountains, but the worst was yet to come. Despite the woman's pleas, Malchus put the muzzle of the gun to Caleb's head and fired at point-blank range. Frightened and unaware of what had just happened in front of her, Laura turned to stone, but when she saw Malchus's cold gaze, she understood his true intentions. Her instinct for self-preservation worked. Laura ran as fast as she could to avoid the fate of her husband and son. But when she reached the edge of the waterfall cliff, she realized that she had no way out, and there was no way for her to escape. The shepherd used a weapon to force the woman to violence, and then allegedly pushed her off a cliff. Laura's body fell on the bank of the waterfall. According to the subsequent investigation, Malchus took Caleb's body and buried it in a secluded place, sending the murder weapon there as well. Then the shepherd returned to the village as if nothing had happened. Laura's friend Sabine began to worry when, after 3 days, Laura did not return from a family trip. Sabine tried to call Ryan or Laura, but she never got an answer. Ryan's entourage was also confused, as it was very unusual for him to be away for so long without contacting anyone. On Friday, July 6th, the Center for Rapid Response and Emergency Situations received a message about the possible disappearance of a Georgian family of American origin in the mountains. The caller was Sabine, who said that the Smith family had been in the mountains for more than 2 days with their little son of 4 years old, and they could not be contacted by phone. A team of 15 rescuers was sent to the gorge to search, where presumably a family was missing. Upon arrival in the designated area, rescuers found Laura's belongings and car, but moving further along the route of the small group, the searchers found a terrible find. A lifeless body lay at the foot of the waterfall. Confused rescuers stepped up rescue efforts and expanded the search area. A human corpse was found about 800 meters from the waterfall. The humidity and heat inherent in the season accelerated the decomposition of the body, so the initial report of the authorities was that the victims showed no signs of violence. In accordance with the Criminal Code of Georgia, an investigation was launched, but nothing was known about the couple's child yet. It took another 3 days when the fate of the defenseless baby became clear. Investigators managed to find out that Malchus was the last person with whom the family communicated. A 19-year-old shepherd was detained and told during interrogation that he knew where Caleb was. 4 days after the Smith family went to the mountains, Malchus led investigators to the place where he buried Caleb, as well as the weapon. The next day, the Georgian police released a statement saying that a young shepherd, Malchus Kabauri, had been taken into custody, and he was accused of murdering the Smith family. The news of the murder of a married couple and their son shocked Georgia, especially Marnoli and the community of weavers. The American consulate also expressed its alarm over this crime. In fact, the FBI team participated in the investigation together with the Georgian authorities and cooperated in the search and processing of evidence. On July 11th, the Tbilisi Municipal Court decided to place Malkus, who pleaded not guilty to the charges, under arrest. The conductor claimed that the real killers of the family were two foreigners who arrived in a black car. Allegedly, these people killed the Smith family, threatened to kill him and his family if he reported to the police, and left Malkus alive so that suspicion of a triple murder fell on the shepherd. Violence against Laura was rejected by Malkus's lawyer, because according to the guy, he was not capable of such a thing, since he was a virgin. On July 12th, family, friends, and activists of public organizations gathered in front of Ryan's house in Marnoli with toys, flowers, and lit candles to express condolences and remember the victims. The next day, Malkus's lawyer confirmed the innocence of the accused. He continued to claim that the crime was committed by two foreigners, and that the psychological pressure exerted on his client forced Malkus to initially plead guilty. But evidence against Malkus began to appear one after another. The most convincing evidence of Malkus's guilt was the autopsy report of the victims. It was found that Ryan's body had two gunshot wounds, one in the head and one in the back. Caleb was shot in the head at point-blank range. In Laura's case, violence against her was proven, and DNA tests confirmed that the biological material found in her body and on her underwear belonged to Malkus. The DNA of Ryan and the defendant were also found on the murder weapon. In addition, a technical examination conducted by the FBI on the phones of the victims and their alleged killer showed that there were photos of Laura's lifeless body at the waterfall in the memory of Malkus's phone. The shepherd even showed them to several local acquaintances, to whom he said that he had accidentally stumbled upon a corpse while walking through these places. Experts found in the search history in the phone that a few days before this incident, Malkus had visited various sites of an intimate nature. All this led investigators to the conclusion that the motive of the crime was the young man's interest in Laura, and that his actions were deliberate from the very moment when the Smith family contacted Malkus to take them to the waterfall. After the release of the autopsy results, Malkus's lawyer, David, resigned, saying that for reasons of principle he could not defend the shepherd. David was replaced by another lawyer, who from that moment led the case. He insisted on the client's innocence and filed a motion to withdraw Malkus's previous confession. The shepherd's mother, Mariana, supported her son and agreed with the lawyer that the police may have forced the guy to confess to the crime under threat of imprisonment. Relatives of the suspect claimed that because of a high-profile crime, the authorities accused Malkus in order to close the case. However, on November 9, 2018, Malkus was charged with the murder of 3 members of the Smith family. He was also charged with additional charges of violence against Laura. The psychological examination conducted on the young shepherd showed that he is sane, healthy, and ready for trial. The term of pre-trial detention expired on April 9, 2019, but the prosecutor said that they had strong evidence of Malkus's guilt and that he would be punished for such a terrible crime. A meeting of 12 members of the court on March 25, 2019, unanimously ruled that Malkus was guilty of premeditated murder with extreme cruelty of more than 2 people. He committed premeditated murder in order to conceal another crime, namely intimate assault. On March 27, 2019, the judge of the District Gorge District announced the decision to sentence to life imprisonment. While the relatives of the criminal protested against the life sentence, which they considered unfair, the sentence became a relief for friends and relatives of the Smith family, and defense lawyers announced that they would appeal the verdict to the appellate instances in connection with alleged procedural violations. The U.S. consul in Georgia said that the verdict provided justice for the Smith family, adding that the evidence left no doubt about Malkus's guilt. Since the arrival of Ryan and Laura Smith in Georgia, these people have won the love and respect of the residents of Marnoli, and their brutal murder has dealt a blow to the community that the couple chose as their home. The community project developed by Ryan not only revived an ancient tradition, but also provided many women with a source of income and stability. The death of the spouses plunged into sadness and uncertainty dozens of women who aspired to a successful business. Shortly after the terrible events that claimed the lives of the founders, the project was revived by foreign investors who support Ryan's ideas and offer opportunities for local craftsmen. Ryan and Laura left behind the world they knew in the West, hoping to discover cultural treasures. And while they were greeted by grateful members of the community, their fate crossed with a sinister creature who hid his essence behind the guise of a kind shepherd. Thanks for watching, guys. I recommend watching other stories. Click right now, and also do not forget to activate the bell. See you soon.